Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Hi everybody! Italian Wine Podcast celebrates its 4th anniversary this year, and we all love the great content they put out every day. Chin Chin with Italian wine people has become a big part of our day, and the team in Verona needs to feel our love. Producing the show is not easy, folks. Herding all those hosts, getting the interviews, dropping the Clubhouse recordings, not to mention editing all the material. Let's give them a tangible fan hug with a contribution to all their costs. Head to ItalianWinePodcast.com and click donate to show your love.
Welcome back, everybody. How is everybody? My name's Stevie Kim, and welcome back to Italian Wine Club. Today's call is actually our 7th installment of the Ambassador's Corner. Wow, that's hard to believe. We started just a few weeks ago. Today's session will be moderated by Gianluca Queroli, our Italian wine ambassador from Boston. Actually, I hope to see him very, very shortly for our VIA rollout stateside. For those who are unfamiliar with us, but I do see most of us are from our community already. It's Veneto International Academy. That's what VIA stands for. Just as a side note, if anyone is interested in finding out more about the VIA program, please DM us directly and we'll be more than happy to welcome your query. Getting back to Ambassador's Corner, Gianluca will be interviewing Stefano Chiarlo today. For the newbies, Ambassador's Corner is where Italian wine ambassadors and wine lovers get a chance to interview their favorite Italian wine producers. Don't forget to ping me, Laika, or Joy. You can see Laika in the front row. I'll bring her up later. And Joy, who's on a train right now. I think Lan, our colleague, or rather ex-colleague, actually he quit, and after 5 years finally. And I've never seen him so much since he quit, actually. And we've been doing a few walks at the Dolomiti the past couple of days, and he's dropping off Joy, our producer, at the train station in Mezzacorona. So if you'd like to nominate or interview your favorite Italian wine producer, please get in touch with either Laika, Joy, or myself directly. A quick shout out to Laika, our backstage. She's on her holidays, but she's still managing our Clubhouse today from I don't know where, and Joy, our Italian wine podcast producer. So today, Gianluca will be interviewing Stefano Chiarlo, but I just want to remind you that we have 3 more episodes already all confirmed after Gianluca, and they are already published on the Italian Wine Club. So please remember to follow us and put on the bell if you'd like to be alerted for the next one. Just FYI, following Gianluca will be Jody Hellerman, and she will be interviewing Enrico Della Piano from Rizzi in Barbaresco. Then after that, on the 2nd of September, that's Cynthia Chaplin coming back, interviewing Ilaria Takis. She's the daughter, of course, Giacomo Takis. And then Hugh Priest, our fermented boss dude, will be interviewing Ariani Occhipinti. That's on the 9th of September. So please follow us and see what's going on. Before we get on to today's show, I need to remind you, in audience and the panelists, that this room is indeed being recorded and may be replayed on the Italian Wine Podcast if the quality of the recording is decent. While we're at it, if you can give a thumbs up to the Italian Wine Podcast and rate our podcast wherever you get your pods, we'd really appreciate that. And if you'd like to make a small donation, we love you even more. Let me start the show by saying a few words about Stefano Queroli, your host ambassador for today. Ciao, Gianluca.
Ciao, Stevie. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to
Yeah, it's 8 p.m. in Italy, so that's 2 p.m. for you, right?
That's right.
So Gianluca, Gianluca, I didn't know this, but we have a lot in common. You were an international tax consultant. Which company did you work for?
I used to work for EY and then a couple of Boston-based companies like Boston Scientific, Virtusa. So, yeah.
But did you know that, and you worked as a tax consultant for 20 years, did you know that I too worked for Pricewaterhouse?
I actually did, yes.
Yeah. So this is amazing because Gianluca, he made a career switch after 20 years of grueling work as an international tax consultant and joined the wine industry about 5 years ago. I mean, I've done it about 12 years ago, more like 11 years ago. I joined the wine industry, but way when you were a little boy, Gianluca, I also dabbled with being an international tax consultant at the time, I don't want to date myself, but at the time it was only called Pricewaterhouse. So way back. Anyways, originally Gianluca is originally from Italy. He's now based in Boston. Gianluca, where are you from in Italy originally? What part of Italy?
Yeah, I was actually born in Milan, but when I was only 6, my family moved to Santa Margherita Ligure, not too far from the Cinque Terre, and probably less than an hour from where Stefano Chiarlo is. I also did my national service 1 year when I was 20 between Cuneo and Torino. So I'm very.
So do you feel more Milanese or like Ligurian?
It's. I knew you were going to ask me this. I have to be diplomatic, and I feel like both. Plus, now I have almost half of my life, in the U.S. So I'm actually split among 3 different geographies.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So let me just remind everybody, he's a good person to know, everybody, if you're in the wine business, because Gianluca is also the owner of Wine Empire, which is a fine retailer. Gianluca holds a law degree. He's the master of ceremonies in accounting and international tax. No wonder you went into the wine business.
Right.
It's boring as shit. Okay, but he also is very incredibly active in the wine world. He does events, he writes, he teaches, and we are incredibly fortunate to have him as part of our VIA community, Vinitaly International Academy. Him and I always like to call them the dynamic duo, and him and Ciro Pirone. It's like Batman and Robin. And they're incredibly active, and we really love them for that. He also is a certified French wine scholar. We don't care about that. American wine expert, Bordeaux, Burgundy. He pretty much knows everything. And he is also a diploma holder from WSET, which I'm desperately failing at all costs. And also currently an MW candidate. So very, very incredibly, he started recently into the wine, but he's very heavy-handed in terms of wine education and certification. So, and he also is doing locally the Italian Wine Maestro certification program, and that is just the level below the VIA Ambassador program. So if you'd like to know more about that, please reach out to also Gianluca. So let's start the show. Gianluca, tell us why you've selected why Stefano Chiarlo is your favorite producer.
Yes, thank you, Stevie. It's very easy. My first wine, I was in single digit. We shouldn't say that on the U.S. platform, but that was the case in Italy. It was actually a Barbera-based wine, the one that my grandfather used to make. I used to grow, used to make at home. And then, as I mentioned before, I was in national service in Torino, and I was taken out for a dinner, and there was a bottle of Michele Chiarlo, Barbera. Sort of like tasted, sort of like forgotten how much into wine when I was in my early 20s. And then when I started, that I made my career switch, I actually took a course whereby actually Ciro was one of the organizer, and we started tasting blinds, and the first red was a red from Piedmont. They were talking about this wine, and I was like completely, lost, in the clouds, and they revealed, the wine that was today still my absolute favorite single bottle of any style, of any region, of any Italian, and that is La Corte Nizza Superiore.
Oh my goodness, that's you're completely in love with Stefano Chiarlo. This is like a love declaration. Absolutely. Okay, then. Listen, Gianluca, I'm a little bit obsessed about learning objectives, right? So what we like to do in this room, which is a little bit different from just very easygoing rooms in Clubhouse, and this is one of the reasons why also we recorded, is that we would like to always have that educational aspect to give a value add to our audience, and not just to those who are present. By the way, hello, Paul, Melissa, Corinne, Luca, Julie, Steve, Alberto, Valentina. I don't know some. Oh, Kevin. Hello, Kevin. He's our new ambassador. And Charlie and Sarah. So I would like for you to tell us what the learning objectives of the call today.
Yes, absolutely. I think we're going to talk about with Stefano, obviously, about the winery's experience, and what really sets Stefano and the winery, the Chiarlo winery, apart. It's really this balance of wine tradition in Piedmont, as well as innovation and progress. So they really blend these two big factors, along with art. With sustainability, especially in the light of very important issues that we are facing today on planet Earth, such as climate change. But then we are also going to visit, Barbera as a grape, the adaptability of the grape variety, the range of wines, geographies, and appellations, and then we are going to cover specifically Nizza DOCG, which is relatively a new DOCG. Is the number 74 of the 76, total, and that just came alive about 8 years ago. So we definitely want to talk to Stefano, which has been him and his family, some of the pioneers, one of the kings of the grape and the appellation.
Okay, great. I've just grabbed a glass of wine, and now take it away, Gianluca. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Stevie, and welcome everybody. Welcome, Stefano. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for making the time. I know it's 3 days after Ferragosto, but I know you're very active on all fronts. So welcome. So just briefly introducing Stefano before I pass to him. Stefano was born on June 3rd, 1969. So we reveal his age, of course, in Piedmont. At the age of 20, he graduated from the Enological School in Alba. With a degree in Enology, and following his diploma, he actually, like I did, he enrolled what at the time was a mandatory, the national service. That was before a year and a half later, he started working with Michele Chiarlo, winery with his father and his brother Alberto as assistant enologist. A few years, after, in 1999, Stefano became the Michele Chiarlo's chief winemaker with the corporation of Gianni Meleni. And Stefano's philosophy and the winery's philosophy is to produce wine of great balance with respect of the individual varieties, as well as the terroir that they get to work with. Wines that are rich but not dense, not heavy, elegant, and I also have, in some cases, subtle use of wood for complexity. So, with that being said, Stefano, we welcome you to Clubhouse, to the Ambassador's Corner. I don't know if you want to, add anything to the introduction that I made, and then we can just, start with the questions.
Thank you very much, Gianluca. Thank you, Stevie. I am very happy to be with you in this Italia One podcast, and it's a really pleasure to have a so nice presentation for a great friend for our family, that Gianluca is really Italian ambassador, but also a Barbera ambassador, because it's a variety that in Piedmont is considered the most diffuse drink variety every day, but a big revolution that happened 30, 40 years ago, especially the last 20 years, that our work with a lot of producers to elevate the perception of the quality and the imagine of this wine, especially with the needs appellation. And now we are really proud to have a lot of important red wine with Barbera that are really iconic Italian red wine, especially in Piedmont. After Barolo and Barbaresco could be really the third important red appellation for important red wine for long aging and great complexity. Thank you very much, Gianluca.
Thank you, Stefano. That's great. I couldn't agree more on your statement. It's certainly climbing all sort of rankings, not only in Italy but throughout the world. I see it on a daily basis in the U.S. as well. So we're gonna take it very easy on your first questions on you. So I want to ask you, when did you fall in love with wine? In general, what is that sparkle, that light, that turn on for you in the world of wine, Stefano?
So this is a very important question for me, because when I was kid, I was about 7, 8 years old. With my father, the good excuse to visit the vineyard for make a selection, I got with my father to have this kind of, to follow him during this kind of work. With the excuse to go in the best osteria to test the good salami, the good cheese. But when I come back at home, I really think about the atmosphere and the magic situation that I have in the visit of the vineyard, the relationship with the viticultor. And that's when was really key that helped me to have the right choice to have the right school. And when making a viticultor was a natural choice for me. Obviously, my father tried to washing mind with this good excuse to enter in this world step by step. But I'm really lucky, because when I studied in the winemaker school, and when arrived this kind of material that when making chemical, biological, or viticulture, I was not a great student, but when arrived this kind of argument, I was really interesting about that, and I was a important student. So this is a lucky that, when you are a teenager, it's not easy to make the right choice, but the passion, step by step, going with me, and now I am very happy about this choice, and all the vines are my sons, and I never do another job in my life.
That's great. I had the honor, the privilege to meet your father 3 years ago when we met in New York for one of your presentations. And as much as it always sounds like a cliche, having someone as a parent that show you the way, and then you discover things yourself, he never gets old. So I couldn't relate more to that. Thank you, Stefano. Moving on with another question, Stefano. The name Chiarlo has always been associated through many years of experience and winemaking to both the tradition, which is very typical of an Italian region like Piedmont. But how do you collectively, or you individually, keep up with these traditions when there's many changes from all aspects in terms of progress and innovation? What is your secret?
I believe the secret is the mentality that gave my father to me, is that we have one chance for a year, that is the harvest, and sometimes one chance every 2 years, because the harvest and we are under the sky and the weather was not to be okay all the years. But it is so exciting to have new experimentation, especially a great focus in the vineyard, in the small vineyard, in the local different terroir. And what really changed our philosophy, not the philosophy, but our improvement, what really was helped to improve our quality of our wines was to concentrate in the first year of the 80 to reduce the quantity of the grapes in the vineyard, especially with our indigenous variety that you know better than me, that Barolo and Barbaresco are Nebbiolo grape variety 100%, and Barbera d'Asti and Nizza is also Barbera. But in the past, a lot of journalists speak about traditional or modernist, but the key in Piemonte was to have much more control of the quantity in the vineyard, and that's happened in the beginning of the 80s with the first experimentation of the reducing of the yield with the green harvest with a small group of producers. That one obviously was my father, but also Elio Altare, Angelo Gaia, and that was never happened before, because reducing the quantity means to destroy an important part of the grapes that was considered a sacrilege for the old mentality, for the traditional people. This innovation help a lot all the important appellations for Piemonte, also especially our wines, to have much more success around the world in the international market without lose the soul of this appellation of this wine. And I intend, for example, for the Barolo, the capacity to have a great complexity and the power to have a nice evolution for decades. And the same experience that happened in the Barolo area during the beginning of the 80s happened in the Barbera field at the beginning of the 90s. And that helped a lot to elevate the quality of the Barbera wine, especially with the Nizza appellation. That is an appellation that are very severe in terms of quantity of grapes, in terms of also winemaking technical. That means minimum have 18 months of maturation, part in wood and part in the bottle before release, but give the right time to the wine to have a nice espresso. Also the time to refine our wines in the bottle before get out in the market is really another part of our stylistically secret of our idea of quality wine, because especially the wine that born in the vineyard with so many attention for every bounces, for every cluster, need more time to have to open the flavor, and that means to have a sacrifice to keep in our warehouse much more than in the past, because you know better than me that when I arrive on your table, on your wine shop, the life is so quickly that you want to open the bottle the same day or the day after. So you don't need have another time to keep in your private cellar. It's not this the time. I believe the idea of quality producer is to get out on the market when the wine are ready to drink and open to have a great pleasure. Obviously, the great important red, if you want to keep for several years, that will be only have more complexity and to it's like a song or a great book. After 1 decade or 2 decades, have to be better. But in the same time, the great philosophy that learned my father traveling in the world some decades ago is to improve the quality Piemontese wine, but also to be ready when I arrive on the market. And that was not so easy. especially with our indigenous variety, especially with the traditional mentality to produce in the past not a lot, but what give the nature that sometimes is too much for the idea of top quality wine that we have now.
Thank you, Stefano. Stefano makes it sound like so easy, doesn't it? I'm sure you've been, facing vintage-related or for other reasons your challenges. But that's really great what you just share with all of us, Stefano. You mentioned during your answer, obviously Nizza and Barbera. So I think is a great time now to ask you a couple questions related to that. So Stefano and his family have been, true pioneers of the Nizza, the OCG. That's a fact. It's not a matter of opinion. Where does the appellation, the evolutions of the appellation, stands, and what, in your opinion, Stefano, still needs to be done in the future?
Yes, Nizza is really very exciting appellation because have the very old roots in the sense that the past generation, they know very well that from the old vineyard that produce a low quantity of Barbera, they produce a special wine that when it born a new son, they put away this bottle and they know they have the opportunity that the son drink this wine after 18, 20 years with a great surprising in terms of quality. And the appellation was built in this direction. So very low yield, minimum 18 months of aging for the Nizza and 30 months for the Nizza Reserva. And when we departing with this appellation, we are only 10 producers, and now I am also the president of Association of Nizza Producers. Now we are more than 70 producers. And why made this kind of appellation? Because the heart of the best terroir, of the best Barbera wine, are the 18 villages close Nizza Monferrato, that is the capital of the Barbera, because 100 years ago, 150 years ago, all the people know from this time that the best Barbera soil, the best exposition for Barbera are this part of the south of Piedmont. And Nizza could be really a great future, for my opinion, because Nizza, the consideration of Barbera is in terms of Barbera d'Asti. We are very proud to produce a lot of important quantity of Barbera d'Asti. The perception is that Barbera d'Asti is a very good wine to drink every day. But with the Nizza appellation, from this philosophy, Barbera will be an important wine for a more complexity and more power to age. I make this comparing usually with the people that doesn't know the Barbera variety. That Barbera is a variety with a lot of similarity in terms of interpretation with the Sangiovese. You know that Sangiovese represent different appellation in Tuscany, from a very fruity and medium body Chianti to drink every day, to Chianti Classico Reserva, that is a wine much more complex and more powerful. In the top, you arrive to Brunello di Montalcino. Depend of the terroir, depend of the winemaking, but that have this kind of similarity. Also, the Barbera is the most plastic Italian variety with Sangiovese, but probably sometimes more than Sangiovese, because you can produce very fruity wine, medium body to drink every day. Is a Barbera d'Asti with a wine philosophy in stainless steel or in a large wood, or a Nizza that is a wine with more character, more terroir influence, a little more complexity that you can drink in the first 7, 12 years, or a Nizza Reserva that have the opportunity to arrive to 15, 18 years. Obviously, is a wine that, respect a Barolo Barbaresco, arrived at the top at 5, 6, 7 years, and after this aging from the harvest time, it keep for several years. It's not like Barolo that, for my opinion, arrived at the top at 8 to 12 years, but is really, you can give some enormous satisfaction, especially with the food, because Barbera is a wine with no tannic part, very important, very soft, very velvety, but in the same time is the richness of the fruit, the richness of the sweet spice, and the acidity that is the real secret for have a food pairing so exciting with a great Barbera. I believe is a wine when if enter in your blood, in your heart, is not a fashion that you drink for 1 or 2 years. Remain in your pleasure to drink in all of your life.
Thank you, Stefano. That's very interesting because as you, our listeners might already know this, but Stefano makes 4 different, Barbera, from Le Orme to Cipressi to La Cour to what we call the black label or Vigna Veglia. And I have done this exercise with both a couple of friends at home and in some consumers and customers, wine tastings, how, the styles of the grape and really shows through the wine depending on where he's grown, how he's grown, how the winemaking techniques are, applied, and you can have, something fresh that you can have to be consumed young within a few years of bottling and all the way up to 15, 18 years, as, Stefano said. I myself, being my favorite wine, try to store away a few bottles of the La Cour. So I have the last 7 or 8 years, except 14 that I believe was not being bottled, La Cour. So I guess we'll have to, host a nice event and try, this all these vintages at one point. So, but I would suggest to seek out these wines from Chiarlo and try them even in different regions, but just to experience the different, stylistic, versions and the adaptability of Barbera. So, keeping on the Barbera subject, in your mind, in your experience, Stefano, how does Barbera grape variety adjust to location, to soil type, to exposure? What truly are the key characteristics? Do you pick a particular site for a particular wine style that you're going to make out of it? What are your considerations for Barbera in terms of viticulture?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because, especially with the global warming, Barbera is a variety that in the classic weather condition, we pick up the grapes in the middle of September. But you have to pay a lot of attention because when we have this kind of very long, dry and warm summertime that are very well conditioned for the perfect ripeness maturation of the Barbera grapes, we have to pay attention because it's a variety that you have to follow step by step and to have the analysis of the grapes and to test the grapes every week, every 3 days when you are close to the harvest time. Because the risk is that in 1 week you take 1.5% of alcohol, and the risk is to produce wine that are not perfect balance between alcoholic percentage. Good Barbera minimum is 13.5, but with the warm vintage, the risk is to produce wine that arrive to 15.5, and also losing the acidity. So for this reason, that in Piedmont, especially with Barbera, you are to be much more vigneron, man of the vineyard, than winemaker, because you have in every different parcel of the vineyard, every different vineyard, you have to check every day, really, because you have to pay the attention to follow to searching this kind of well balance, and the idealistic perfect day for the harvest time for Barbera is to obtain this kind of perfect balance in terms of alcoholicity, acidity, and pH. When you have this kind of harvest in the winery, we are chefs that we don't have to touch the food anytime, and that means that it's very classic maturation with the skins, 2 weeks in the stainless steel for the classic Barbera Dusty, for the nits in the big oak, and after that, the stylistically depend of what kind of Barbera, what kind of nits do you want to produce. For example, for Cipressi, our classic nits, we age for 1 year in the large barrel. For La Courte, we age part in the small barrique, part in the big barrel, and after we are refining in the bottle. But the key of the perfect interpretation for Barbera is to have obviously the best soil, the best exposition. What is a risk for Barbera is to close to the harvest time arrive too much humidity, too much rain, and that is a variety that if there are this kind of condition, the berry become bigger, and you have a dilution, you don't have a perfect maturation, you have the green, some green and some rustic expression. The green harvest obviously is the most important thing, because that is really what changed completely the quality of Barbera. The Barbera is a variety that produces, generally speaking, too much. And every year now, this morning is the first green harvest that we do in the vineyard. We wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but every vineyard, every vine, we reduce the quantity minimum 30%. In some cases also 50%. And you can understand how big is the work that there are behind a bottle of Barbera or Nizza, because this kind of work by hand is very expensive, but you need a lot of experience, and you have to manage every morning for minimum 1 month in every vineyard.
Thank you, Stefano. That's very, very, very important to have your quality and your quantity, your yields, in check to produce the best wines, possible from, any grape variety, but especially Barbera, which we all know can be very, vigorous, and that can aid that vigor depending on where it is planted, the type of soil, that the exposure, and so forth. So thank you for addressing that. A little bit of a rapid fire question here. It's something that I've been meaning to ask you, Stefano, for a while, as I got to know you through the years. And when I almost did ask you last time we met a couple months ago over in Opera Wine, but obviously you were very, very busy that day. Have you thought about Dolcetto? Because you guys work with, obviously, Nebbiolo, Barbera, Moscato, and Cortese. Dolcetto, arguably, there are several red grape varieties in Piedmont, but the 3 major ones are probably Nebbiolo, Barbera, and Dolcetto. Have you thought about it? Have you considered maybe planting, maybe making some wine from Dolcetto?
Yes, honestly speaking, we produce for the last 50 years Dolcetto d'Alba. Honestly, we are not the top producer of Dolcetto for one simple reason that we are not owner of the best exposition of the best land for Dolcetto. Some important colleagues, wine producer, especially in the Doriani area, or in the Diano d'Alba area, where Dolcetto is the maximum expression of this kind of soil. I'm really also exciting when I drink Dolcetto because, in Piemonte, the Piemonte family in the past drink during the week Barbera and during the Sunday time Dolcetto. So he remain in our roots a very important variety, and Dolcetto is another very interesting variety because have this kind of violet, hazelnut, and this kind of attractivity, especially with a pasta dish that and drinkability also is a variety that, honestly speaking, have not a big big success in the last year, but it was a big damage because I believe they can have a great opportunity. Probably is a wine that is not well known for the potentiality of this variety around the world. And in the past, the tannic part was really a small world to drink, but now that the people are looking for tannic wine, Dolcetto could be, and the tannin of Dolcetto are much more easy respect the tannin of Nebbiolo, for example. I am really sure that in the future could have a great success also in the United States, in the other market. We are concentrating in Piedmont, and probably in the future, why not? We can also invest in the best area for Dolcetto, or in Doriani or Indiano, I think, in the future.
Thank you, Stefano. That's very interesting. So you all heard Stefano. We might one day, if opportunity arises, maybe the Chiarlo family will get to make wine for worldwide distribution. So they're not discriminating against Dolcetto. What Stefano said that is even more interesting is that a lot of folks in Piemonte drink that on a Sunday, and Barbera maybe during the week. For me, I don't know, tradition or not tradition, I drink more Dolcetto during the week. Maybe I'm upside down, and a nice bottle of Barbera on a Sunday lunch. Thank you, Stefano. What I want to ask you next, it's probably one of the key questions of this interview, of our time here together, and it regards sustainability. You guys have been on top of this very important worldwide issues. A lot of other wineries have been doing a lot in that regard, not only in Italy but worldwide, and with specific regard to climate change, and how and when I talk about climate change, I not only refers to the raising temperatures, but this more less sporadic and more drastic events that we've been seeing the last few vintages, places where we haven't seen much hail. Now we get that, not much frost. We do that, so that is all part of a bigger topic. But how has been affecting you, and what has been done by Chiarlo in that regard, Stefano?
So Gianluca, you have a great reason about that, because this violence of atmosphere, what happened in the last 20 years, we touch with our hand, because every rain during the summertime now is a storm. Every rain happens here around the Piedmont vineyard, and this is what we see with our eyes. So sustainability is first of all is ethical choice, because our goal for my generation is to let to next generation what we take care in this short time of our life better than when we take care a few years ago. That means that all the territory need to preserve with more green attention, because it's really important for have a decent life, not a super life. Decent life. Our life is in the vineyard. Our wine lover come to visit us in the vineyard. So, is our first interest is to live in the place where the quality life, the safety of the life is very important. And for make that is not enough to have a green approach only to the vineyard, only to the wine, but in all the technical part of the producing of the wine, you need to improve the impact of the green impact. And that means, for example, we are one of the first winery in Piedmont to be certified for 2010 for the Barolo Cerrequio. That was the first time, because we are part of the experimentation project of Viva Sustainability for Ministero dell'Ambiente. After a few years, we have all the 7 single vineyard certified Viva Sustainable, and now we are all the wine are sustainable. But come back to what I said before. It's not only to have a green approach in the vineyard, but also, for example, to reduce the heavy of the bottle, to have much more solar and alternative energy, to don't consume too much in the winery. Is a mentality to improve in every aspect, to be more sustainable in every aspect. In the end, I believe that if you think of all our action, also personally, what we made every day with your car, with your what you buy, why you use I don't know, plastic bottle, or all you can think to have much better influence in terms of sustainability, and I believe this is a message that help to concentrate what I can make better the day after day, and that in the wine business, especially in the production, is really important way, and we believe this is the way to follow, especially in the part of the culture. And we see also another aspect, that the green approach in the vineyard help in the important part of the puzzle of the quality, to improve also the quality in terms of personality that reflect the terroir, and I believe this is what the nature give also us to the quality part of the wine.
Yeah, that's a great point. Stefano, especially with reference to terroir. You kill like several birds, with one, stone. I think this is like extremely important for everyone. we need to preserve what we got. And I think I am a little bit drastic here, but I think it's really on all of us. I think we have all the tools, and if we don't have it, we can develop, them to really, preserve what we have, and just ensure that the very single bottle of wine that we enjoy drinking, it can be drank for generations and for many years. Ahead. So thank you for doing everything that you're doing with regard to sustainability and quality. I think we're getting very close to time here. So, and I want to make sure we save a couple minutes for potential questions from our listeners. But I will ask you one question that is very direct, and maybe you don't have an option to be diplomatic, Stefano, I'm sorry, but we all know that all our children are equal. So you call your vines as your sons or daughters at the beginning of our conversation, but where does your heart go? Where is Stefano's heart in terms of favorite grape variety?
The heart it go obviously to Barbera, because Barbera is a wine that is a child that 40 years ago, 50 years ago, when my father was really a pioneer that believed in this variety, is a child that need more help, and the consideration at this time was a poor child, a child that have no the right consideration like the big child like the Barolo and Barbaresco. And so that's is really a revenge, because when you give all the energy of all the family in the last 40, 50 years, and you, at the end, you see this child that arrive in the top wine list of the world, obviously you are 2 times proud than the bigger child, obviously. Honestly speaking, Barbera is really part of our of the family blood is really Barbera. But also in the other part, Nebbiolo is the most philosophical, more, I believe, elegant. I believe more unique variety from in the world, and so my heart is divided in two. But if I have to have a one choice and I am alone in the island, my choice is Barbera, obviously.
Very good. You're for one more reason, my biggest hero, and you know that. That's good. I think we actually we were so fortunate to be given a couple extra minutes, so I will ask you one more question, Stefano. You have probably, correct me if I'm wrong, over 30 harvests under your belt as experience. What do you recall to be, one, if not the most challenging, vintage, and that you can choose any grape, whether it's Cortese, Moscato, Nebbiolo, Barbera, Dolcetto. What is your most challenging, vintage that you had in your experience?
If I come back, my really first important vintage that I remind is 97, because when I finished the winemaker school in 90, so and in 91 I made the military service. Honestly speaking, I have only difficult vintage before 97, because 92, 93, 94, 95, also 96 in some cases are really difficult harvest, because close to the harvest time arrived the rain, and so all the effort that we made in the vineyard, okay, we see some improvement in terms of quality, but not what I have in my idea. And 97, we have the perfect weather condition to have really a great satisfaction in every vineyard, in every part that we make this kind of experimentation for the green harvest and other winemaking technique. And so 97 was, for example, in the Cerrecchio, in the sense of Cerrecchio for the Barolo single vineyard. I remind that I have in my eyes and I tattoo in my in my heart also the image of this perfect bounces the day of the harvest that really was like a dream. When the dream arrived to reality, and that and especially when the dream is so long, because winemaker school was so long, and 6 difficult harvest before arrive at the goal. You can imagine how was my dream that for the first time I understand that my choice of the winemaker job is the right job for me.
That's really cool. And actually, the winery, you guys save a little bit of documentations on the last 10 harvests, and they have a little bit of showing and a little bit of a museum. I encourage you to go and visit and discover this. It's really, really nice. Very last question, Stefano. Is there any new project, whether in the winery or in the vineyards, it's something that you're looking forward to do, something you're looking forward to working on in the near future that you want everybody to be aware?
Yeah, we are really concentrated in have much more single vineyard, and that's happened for the Nizza because we have another special hill that is called Monte Mareto that in the next 2 years arrive on the market, and another Nizza called Monte Mareto because it's a special hill close to La Courte. And what our project that we work in the last year is another important single vineyard in Barbaresco for produce a Barbaresco Riserva that is a famous cru that is called Monte Stefano that probably arrive on the market in the next 4 or 5 years, so long time to refining in bottle. And the third important news is that we produce, we stopped for a few years, but now we reproduce another important reserve of Gavi, that is Fornaci. Fornaci di Tassarolo was the first Gavi that we produce and take the Tre Bicchieri when I was 10 years old, when the vintage 1990 is a very special wine because arrived from prefilloxeral vineyard for a particular bounces, a particular clone. The vineyard was replanting about 15 years ago, and now with using the same material with this kind of special small bounces of Cortese, and now next year we get out with the 2019 vintage. Is a Gavi that get out on the market when it's minimum 3 years old and have the potential to age minimum 10-12 years. So 3 small news, 3 small wine, but a special expression of a small terroir and great wine, I believe.
That's great. That's very exciting. Thank you, Stefano. So we'll have something in the short, in the medium, the long term. Can't wait to try that Monte Stefano Riserva, although I'll have to wait a little bit. Maybe we'll come and visit you and try the wines with you before he's released to the market. This is all very exciting news. So I'm not sure if Stevie, if you want to say anything, if you want to, close, if there are any questions from, the audience before we release our good friend and guest, Stefano Chiarlo.
So, you guys, I'm so loving these fireside chats with the ambassadors. First of all, you guys are doing such a great job. By the way, also a shout out to Paul Bologna, who did a wonderful job with Massimiliano Brambilla last week. We'll drop that soon. And I'm really, really loving this. And of course, Hugh Priest, he's on front row. He will be doing with Ariane Occhipinti September 9th. I think everyone is looking forward to that. Everyone will be back on holidays. I'm still waiting for your nominations, ladies, Melissa and Corinne. And Julie and Kevin, you guys are new Italian wine ambassadors. You too can interview your favorite wine producers. So we'll be in touch with you. Tiziana, I don't know why you haven't sent your nominations yet. I'm looking forward to that. Please send them to me, myself, or Leica. So I brought Lan to up on stage. First of all, it's very, very sad, but after 5 years, he couldn't stand me any longer, so he's quietly quit on me. And he's just staying right upstairs from me in my mountain house because he just dropped off joy. But I feel like I've seen him more now than ever. And of course, he's a dear friend and will be part of Via community forever. So Lan, ciao. Everything okay with Joy?
Everything's good.
Okay.
By the way, Stevie, we love you.
Listen, Lan, have you got a question for Stefano or Gianluca?
Sure, I have a question for Stefano. First of all, thank you also Gianluca and Stefano for this great sharing. And so these 2 days, I'm actually with Stevie hiking in the mountains of Trentino. So I found the local wines especially tasty after every hike. Then naturally, I become a rookie hiker and a more passionate wine drinker now. But I wonder, what is your suggestion for hikers to see in your area, Stefano, and which wine should we bring with us to taste?
So I never understand perfectly what is the wine from Trentino that is my choice?
No. The question is, because I'm now hiking in Trentino, then I found like after every hike, wines become more tasty. And I mean, you are in Piedmont, and naturally you have many hiking routes to choose from. Then in your area, which are your suggestions for us as a hiker to go and to see? And what is a local wine you would recommend us to take then to taste after the hike?
A local wine, for example, I suggest to take a small appellation, a small variety, but very, very interesting, is the Freisa. Freisa is a very old roots. I have some similarity to Nebbiolo, but some different in terms of aromaticity. But in some cases, we don't produce Freisa, but I have recently opportunity to open some bottle of Freisa that are 15, 20 years old. I was really surprised. But also you can choose a Freisa, a little aromatic to drink young, especially in the summertime with a barbecue. That is a great pleasure. And it's a local variety, but with a great potentiality, the great expressivity, really unique wine.
Great, Stefano. Thank you very much. So we're going to take our last questions before we close to Paul from Paul Bologna. Ciao, Paul.
Oh, ciao. Thank you for taking my question. So let me begin by saying I've been selling Chiarlo wines for years, and I never worry that they're not going to show well because they're always impeccably balanced and elegant. But my question is a simple one, and it's a good one for you because I know you're a Barolo expert. A lot of guests ask me about decanting and the right amount of time to pass while decanting before enjoying a Barolo, and I was just curious if you had any tips and what you've noticed for aging Barolo as the right amount of time to decant.
Ciao, Paul. If the question is for me...
Yes, I think it's for you, Stefano. Unless you want me to answer it, and we'll be completely wrong. So you better take this.
No, but Stevie, sometimes more than producer in terms of service, in terms of decanting, because this is a question that recently a lot of people have in the idea, especially for Barolo. For our style, for example, I see that if you're decanting for the young vintage, give more, in short time you have more expressivity of the flavor. Or if you have very old bottle, and I mean very old, the minimum that are 20, 25 years old. But you know better than me that depends how long you intend to stay in front of your glass. Because if you have time, for my opinion, if you have the right glass and the right temperature, is also for me it's very exciting to see how the developing the wine in my big glass for 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and sometimes less than half an hour or 10 minutes. This kind of follow the opening of the flavor in the glass. For me, that I am a winemaker, is very exciting, because I am upset that a wine that need the right time for developing is part of the exciting. For a final consumer, sometimes it's not like me. I understand very well. But for my opinion, if you have a Barolo that are 6, 8, 10, 12 years, if you have the right glass, I never decanting the wine. In the past, you know better than me that the decanting are for the special old traditional style that sometimes I speak about 25, 30, 35 years old. The Barolo are really close wine that are close in terms of expression of the flavor. Now, this kind of wine, especially the Barolo, are more precise in terms of winemaking, and also the flavor are more open when arrive on the market respect 30, 40 years ago.
Okay, that's a wonderful way to close. Basically, drink Barolo any way you want. I think that's fantastic. And with that, I'm going to close. Please tune in next week, 8 p.m., same time, with Italian Wine Ambassador's Corner Fireside Chat. And that is it. And please follow us, and hope to see you guys soon. Thank you for also joining us in this, huge Ferragosto. Everybody's on holiday. You guys are really the diehards, and we really, really appreciate that. Ciao ragazzi, grazie mille Stefano e Gianluca.
Ciao Gianluca, un grande ciao.
Ciao ragazzi.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.